Welcome back to Avaya.
Thank you, Andy. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, great to talk to you again. And okay, so we're starting with something relatively technical, so I'm going to make sure I read it as I say it here. So, okay, we're going to talk about the ovarian adrenal thyroid axis. Could you
Yeah.
share a little bit about what that is and how it relates to menopause?
So when you think about hormones in general, most people think, oh, yes, my ovaries, just speaking about women. But there are plenty of hormonal glands that produce different hormones. And you would also include the adrenals and the thyroid in that picture, along with, there are other ones, but the ovaries, the adrenal, and the thyroid, I call it the OAT axis because they're very closely related. One symptom that you might have might kind of be correlated with the other glands. So you cannot just blame one hormone for your symptoms. So the thyroid is right here. The adrenals are above your kidneys and your ovaries right above your uterus. And so the hormones that the ovaries usually produce, estrogen, progesterone, we know about that. That's how you have cycles that are being created. And then when you undergo menopause, your ovaries, I like to say they kind of shrivel up and die because basically they don't produce hormones anymore. So what has to kick in instead in helping to make hormones? People don't know, but your adrenals are actually the ones that also produce your not only your stress hormone, which is cortisol and your fight or flight hormones like epinephrine, but they also produce sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, and testosterone. So, as you hit menopause and women's ovaries are not producing anymore, you really want to support your adrenals so that you can be able to make those hormones yourself. Okay. Maybe not to the amount that you truly need, but that's aging and that's life. But, you know, um, many women, as they go through menopause, you have to think back, back in the day, did women actually have hot flashes and did they have to go through that vaginal atrophy, so dryness down there, did they go through having irritability and sleeplessness and just as much as women nowadays? And no, they did not, because they transitioned much better. So as the question is why, right? So as your adrenals, like I said, they have to produce stress hormones too. So nowadays women undergo a lot of stress, okay, chronic stress. So instead of your adrenals producing the hormones that you need to help you to transition, that reproductive hormones, it's going to be producing your stress hormones instead, cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, because it wants to help you deal with stress. So therefore, you're not going to be producing your reproductive hormones either. So then both your ovaries and your adrenals are weak, right? So it's very closely tied. And then thyroid, a lot of times people have already weak thyroids that is in charge of their metabolism. And a lot of the hypothyroid symptoms do cross react with people who have adrenal fatigue, people who are chronically stressed. So whether it's weight gain, inability to get it off, hair loss, nutritional deficiencies, they constipation, they're slowing, their whole metabolism slows down. That really, and they're fatigued, right? That cross relates a lot with that stress response, not being able to keep up in your adrenals too. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. To the best of my ability to be able to understand, but absolutely, the three
Mm-hmm.
are obviously very tied together. And it's so interesting about the adrenal glands and why it's so important for us to support those. Given that when our ovaries stop producing all those great protective hormones, then well, we've got these other glands that are willing to do it. So why don't
Mm-hmm.
why don't we make sure we support those? And you mentioned like back in the day that people didn't experience quite the symptoms that we do now. So would you say symptoms of menopause are normal or abnormal or what a new normal? What do you think?
Right. So I would say if you were perfectly healthy and you had balanced hormones, you should not feel symptoms of menopause. That has just been normalized by society nowadays to say, oh, hot flashes is normal for everyone going through menopause. No, but I know lots of healthy women that don't go through menopause feeling anything, That's how it should be. Like my mother, she went through menopause, she like breezed through it. There's no hot flashes, no nothing, and you continue to do well through even after menopause because you support your other areas where that hormone needs to be.
Mhm.
But nowadays, as women have undergone a lot more hormone disruptors and things that disrupt their stress response, they are going to feel it more. Okay. So that's why I would say society has normalized, because majority of our society does feel it, but that doesn't mean majority of our society is healthy here, right? So
Right. Yeah.
mhm.
Very valid. And so like, for example, when you're talking about your mom and other women who have gone through it without really a blip. So
Mhm.
is that just, okay, periods get less and less over the course of, however many years, and then they're
Mhm.
gone and they're in menopause
Yeah.
and okay. That sounds
Well, the
amazing.
definition of menopause is no period for 1 year, right? So yeah, they just basically they stop having periods, and then nothing, they don't have any other symptoms. They just continue, they're super functional. They don't feel like they're tired or fatigued or deal with all those hot flashes or things like that. I mean, yes, like menopause, you still have like risk factors, right? You have increased cardiovascular risk, you have increased risk for osteoporosis, especially if you're not on like hormone replacement and things like that. So that still happens, but the symptoms of that relative drop in estrogen.
Avaya has changed my life.
Avaya has made me the woman I am today.
Avaya is my home.
Avaya is personal freedom.
Avaya is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about Avaya.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, Avaya, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at Avaya is what the world needs.